The death tax is bad environmental policy because it forces working farms or ranches to sell property. And, you know, one of the things the environmentalists would say is, well, sell a conservation easement and take that money and use it to pay off the debt. Well, a conservation easement isn't worth as much as selling the property. And then when you sell property and it's got a conservation easement on it, it isn't worth as much as well. And so it's a compounding problem. That doesn't solve the problem. The death tax is the problem. And it's an environmental problem as well as a financial problem for small businesses.
Americans for Limited Government spoke with Montana Congressman Dennis Rehberg about the bill Congress is voting on that would bring the estate tax back to a top tax rate of 55% after January 1st, 2011. Last week, ALG's Rebecca Rast spoke about this.
Those whose wealth is in their land, be it cattle or agriculture, a lot of times the estate tax will then force them to sell their land, even if it's simply just being handed down to the next generation and not at all changing hands. The death tax should just stay in its grave.
And Congressman Rehberg agrees with her.
I think it's a killer for Montana agricultural producers, whether it's farming and ranching, or other small businesses that will find themselves into that. So it's not a good tax policy for creating communities in America, and I'm very much against it.
Rehberg's state, Montana, is known for wide open spaces and an agricultural community. He says the rest of the country does not fully realize how much money is needed for agricultural business.
The farther people get away from production agriculture, they don't understand what kind of an investment is necessary to be in the business in the first place. For somebody from the inner city of Miami, $1 million sounds like a lot. When it comes to an agricultural operation, that's not a very big operation. You can barely support your family on an asset worth $1 million. Yes, if you sold the business, you would be rich, but that's not the point. Nobody wants to sell the business.
This tax, which often takes away inheritance, has affected Rehberg personally.
Well, my knowledge is having gone through the death tax with my great-grandmother. As a result of her death in 1974, my sister and I, my mom and dad, we inherited an undivided interest in the Rehberg Ranch. It was our small business. It's how we made our living. And I'm fifth-generation Montanan. My great-grandfather started the ranch and passed it along, and we're going to pass a going business on to the next generation.
The tax forced Rehberg to have to take major action to keep his business alive.
We had to sell our homes. There were two on the place, my great-grandparents and ours, our barns, our corrals, and when you sell your barns and corrals, you sell your central water system. And then we also had to sell a third of the property or release the leases on a third of the property just to pay the estate tax. And then we went to the bank and borrowed money, and it took us an additional 20 years to pay it all off. All the while, Jan and I were newly married, raising our own children, and every dime we made on the ranch, on a place that was 1/3 less in size, had to go towards paying that debt, building new corrals, a new centralized water system. And frankly, it's very difficult to run a business when the government is your senior partner.
In short, the death tax doesn't pay. Frank McCaffrey, Americans for Limited Government.